Okay, hello everybody, it's Simona here. Welcome, welcome. Those of you who can join us live and those of you who are joining us for the recording for the Ignite Your Vision, Create Your Personal Roadmap to Success interactive 90-minute workshop where we are going to reverse engineer your big vision and break it down into achievable goals, because achievable goals are the fastest way for you to make that big vision your reality. Why? Because if the vision is really big, it gets overwhelming and confusing, and then the mind sort of gets into procrastination, and then nothing gets ever done. We question everything, and then, we find ourselves years later without anything gotten done. So what we're going to do is we're going to break it down into achievable goals, whatever that is for you, so that you have a good idea of what to do every single day, why you're supposed to be doing it, but also when you hit one of those achievable goals, it's a quick win, right? And who doesn't love a win? Everybody feels good when we win. And I want you to have more of those moments, because those moments are going to carry you on this journey. They're going to keep you motivated, focused, inspired to do more, right? Because every time we have a win, we want more wins. And it's the dopamine receptors get activated in the brain. And that's why we want to break it down really into things that are achievable and not overwhelming, yet strategic, so that you continuously move yourself forward in the right direction. And then before you know it, you will be living in that vision. And I also want to congratulate all of you who have signed up for this workshop, whether you're joining us live or with the recording, that you have made a decision that you're going to do this. You have showed up for it, and you are prepared to do the work. And as you go on this journey, you're really going to show yourselves how great you really are, your own greatness, what you're capable of doing. And I'm going to just put it out there because I want expectations to be managed. It's going to get uncomfortable at some point, because you're going to step out way, 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 way outside of your comfort zone. And then when we get there, we have two choices. We can run back when it gets uncomfortable to the familiar that is no longer satisfying, but it just, we don't have to worry about anything. Or we can take the next step and step further into that new life that we say we want. And I want to congratulate you for being here, because by doing that, you have already signaled the universe that you are serious about this. So, and when you know what you can expect, then you don't run away from being uncomfortable. One of my mentors actually said at some point, the best thing you can do on a journey when you achieve something, when you want to achieve something big, is that you become comfortable with being uncomfortable, because it's going to be uncomfortable all the way. And if you already know this, when it hits, you're like, oh, that's just me on my journey. I'm just getting bigger. I'm just tapping into all the beautiful gifts that I have, the resources that I have. And yes, I'm breaking out of my shell, because what happens, we are from an early age on conditioned to fit into a tiny box. And that box is where we find love, acceptance, and significance from our environment. But we're not designed to be that way. Each and every one of us has been given a gift, a divine gift, and we're meant to be carrying that forth in the world, right? Because if you look at everything that's going on, I think we can all agree that we need to come together and create something that works for everybody. And that's where you come in, bringing your gifts forward. So I want this to be a little first step for you to believe in yourselves, to believe in that you're here for something bigger, and to really allow yourselves to stand in that vision. Because I know from personal experience, when you have a really big vision for what your life, what you want your life going to look like going forward, a lot of the people in your environment cannot come there with you, because it scares them, because it makes them aware of where they have their own insecurities and where they're not doing anything. So it's good to create a safe space in an environment of like-minded people, where you actually then can explore that, and where nobody says, oh, you can't do this, but where somebody actually is there and says, yes, you can, and I'm here to help you, right? So I want you to just take a moment right now and set your intention of what it is you want to get out of those 90 minutes and make it a powerful intention. Put it out there to the universe. Just let it flow and say, I am here. I have chosen to show up. I want this this is what I want to get out of this. And write that down. It's really important that we signal the universe that we are here, we mean business, and we're serious about this. So the reason we're here today is that we are going to look at what your compelling vision is, and it has to be something that sets your soul on fire. It has to be something that really pulls on your heartstrings, because you're going to need that desire to move you forward, because weak desire makes for weak visions, it makes for weak goals, and then we abandon at the first obstacle, right? So when you are thinking of your vision, make sure it's something where you are like, that's it, this is what I want, this is really stirring my soul. We're going to talk about how you can conquer the obstacles here, because that's where the obstacles show up. The mindset, right? The beliefs that we have, the negative thinking, all the reasons why we can't do something, all the reasons why we stand for our limitations. In this workshop, we're going to start to think differently. We're going to start to think in the right direction. We're going to take a stand for our possibilities, for our greatness. Because here's the thing, you could not have the vision which is given to you by your creator, by source, God, whatever you want to call it, if there wasn't also a way and a means to make it happen. What gets in the way is this. And we have to come back to our truth. And the truth is, you are loved by Source. Source has given you great gifts. Source wants you to use those gifts. And you are meant to be birthing that forth in the world, right? So, and then we're going to look at some tactical exercises to create your step-by-step roadmap to success by reverse engineering your big vision into bigger goals and then achievable micro goals, because those are the goals that will carry you. That's the momentum that you're building. And I will also share with you the #1 results producing exercise that I do with all my private clients when they think that they can't do something. So, and this is how people have found, one of my clients found $500,000 in assets that she didn't think she had to finish a construction project that she thought she needed to abandon. She found it. Other people have found incredible resources by doing this exercise, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So a little bit about me. My name is Simona Xol. I'm a business strategist and a personal mentor to primarily women over 40, successful women over 40 who can be entrepreneurs, creatives, or corporate executives who are ready to make their big vision their reality. And that always entails that you completely reinvent yourself, because what is calling you is bigger than you. So all the things that you've been doing up until now have led to where you are today. And those are essential skills for you to step into the next chapter. But make no mistake about it, it's a reinvention. And then, you know, I work a lot with clients on the subconscious level. I use processes based in neuroscience that help people repattern and transform beliefs that are holding them back so that they can have empowered beliefs that move them forward. And we use this individually for business building, lifestyle transformation, or team building so that you can be catapulted into your next level. So I want to share a quote with you, which is from a woman called from a writer called Thomas Troward. And he said a long time ago that our mind is a creative center and it's connected to the universal mind. So we are always connected to source, and it receives information from the universe, and that information is awaiting to be given direction. Now, those are those thoughts that pop into your head that where you think, oh, this would be so cool. I really want that. Anytime you have a thought like that, it's a clue that you can go deeper on that, because that is how your vision comes into play and into creation on the screen of your mind. So we give this vision direction. We give this, what we're receiving from the universe, direction by creating a powerful, clearly defined vision for what it is we want to be, do, or have. And I want to point out that it's really important to pay attention to these small thought sparks that you probably have quite a bit during the day. Oh my God, this is what I want. I want to go there. I want to live that life. Pay attention to that and allow yourself to entertain that, especially for those of you who have an idea about what it is you want to do, but you might not necessarily be that clear on the vision. Some of you, I know because I've spoken to you, you're pretty clear on what it is you want. But for anybody that's listening to this later, who just has a hunch, allow yourself to explore that. Because the idea is that we paint a picture of that vision on the screen of our mind. And we paint it so crystal clear that we can literally touch it and feel into it as if we were already living that life. And this mental picture that we have, it's a snapshot, is reflected out into the universe. It's reflected out to the universal mind. And by one of the laws of the universe, which is the law of perpetual transmutation of energy, it must be returned back to us in either spiritual or physical form. So when you're putting it out there, all of a sudden, it's like you're putting your declaration out there to the universe. This is what I want. I am doing this. And as you make that decision, you have to do it with an elevated emotion. So you have to really feel this. When I was moving to Mexico, when, some of you know my story that I sat on the rooftop and I had my eyes open, I looked out on the ocean and a voice said to me, Simona, you have to move here to Mexico. And I remember in that moment, I said in my mind, I want this. And I felt it in my whole body. And that is the intensity that you have to add to putting the intention out, that picture that you see on the screen of your mind. You have to bring up these feelings. What is it going to feel like when you live that life? Are you going to be excited? Are you going to have a love for life? Are you going to be grateful? Are you going to be so joyous? Are you just going to jump out of your skin doing the happy dance? So you have to bring this up, and that emotion then carries that vibration out into the universe, and it's reflected back to you. So what happens next? It will bring to you the ways and means of how to make it happen. How does it do that? You become aware all of a sudden of opportunities, people, places, things that lead you to move one step closer to the goal. And if you don't believe me, think about if you ever wanted to buy a red dress. You had on your mind, I want to buy a red dress, maybe a purple dress, whatever, but let's go with the red dress. As soon as you make that choice, you are going to become aware of red dresses everywhere. You're going to see them on people, you're going to see them in the department stores, you're going to see people on the beach wearing a red dress. So that is how our mind works. That same principle is once you make the decision that this is what I'm doing, you're going to become aware of opportunities, people, places, and things that lead you closer. You're going to meet people that can open doors for you. You're going to become aware of classes that you can take to gain the skill set, right? And then the job that you have to do is to say yes to that opportunity. But I want to go back to something that Napoleon Hill said. He said the starting point of all achievement or success is desire. And that is to become true to you and answer this question: what do I really want? And that's a question that a lot of people really struggle with because they water it down immediately and say, well, I don't really need this, would be nice to have. No. We're going for what do I really want? What else is possible for me? What is my vision? What is it that I want to do with the rest of my life? And allow yourself to get really big with that. And not think about, oh my God, what is my dad going to think when I want to do that? Or what other people in my life going to think? This isn't a personal exercise for you, where I recommend you do this in the morning. You know, you get up, you sit down with a journal, you ask yourself that question. What do I really want? Because your vision dictates your goals, and that's what we're going to do in reverse engineering. And then your goals dictate the everyday activity, the action that you're taking, right? So it informs you, I want to hit this goal. There's specific things that I need to do every single day to get there. And then one goal, I hit one goal, I get to the next, I get to the next, and I move myself forward. But the vision is the starting point for everything. And you, my friends, you need to get really, really big with your vision. Don't let yourself stop you. And I want to just say, remember when we were little kids, how nothing could stop us? We were astronauts, princesses, kings, you know, we did everything. There was no constriction on that. So we want to get back into that state of mind, being playful and really allowing ourselves. And if the conscious mind gets in the way and says, oh no, you can never have that, you say next, next, and you go back, imagining yourself as little Simona playing cowboys and Indians. And you know, a stick was enough to have a horse. Like it, you all know how to do this, right? So once you get back there, and the idea is to think outside of the box, because the box are the societal norms, the things that we've learned, you know, starting with going to kindergarten and school, going to university. You have to kind of fit into a square box to be accepted. But the truth is that we're bigger than this. So what you are doing by being present at this workshop and by listening to this workshop is you're coming out of that box and you're like, okay, so let me see what else is out there. And here's another thing. I said before that the vision was given to you by the divine, whatever you want to call it. I call it God. You can call it something else. But it doesn't just give you the vision. The reason that you're having the vision is that the divine is seeking expression through you, because we carry the divine inside of us, that spark. We're all coming from source, right? And everybody, not just the people on this call or the people who are going to be watching this later on the recording, every single person, every single soul on the planet has a mission, a vision, and it's up to us to act upon it. But it is a divine vision. And if you get scared along the way because you're coming up against an obstacle, I want to ask you this. Who are you to say no to the divine? So the divine is seeking expression through you, and you're going to say no because there's a BS obstacle in the way? Don't you think the divine will provide for you that you can overcome this obstacle? I'll say. So never forget how great you are and where you come from. So Napoleon Hill, for some of you who have probably read the book Think and Grow Rich, he advocates that we must cultivate a burning, white-hot desire, like something that really sets our soul on fire, that fuels you from the inside, that keeps you motivated and pumped to do what it takes so you can achieve it. Because while it's 80% mindset, there's still 20% of tactical action that we have to take involved. So he says, whatever the mind of man can conceive, that means the vision that you have on the screen of your mind, and believe, it can achieve. So we got to see it on the screen of our mind. We got to believe in ourselves enough that we can do it. I just told you you're part of source, so you have that divine power that you carry inside. Of course you can do it, right? And then the achievement part is in taking the action. So this lady, Genevieve Behrend, wrote a book called Your Invisible Power. And the invisible power that she talks about is your ability to visualize, right? So she said this in this book. She said, when your understanding grasps the power to visualize your heart's desire and hold it with your will, meaning you carry that vision with you every single day, it attracts to you all things requisite to the fulfillment of that picture by the harmonious vibration of the law of attraction. Why is that? Once you set that intention and you put it out there with an elevated emotion, you're looking for a match in the universe. Because in the universe or in the quantum field, everything already exists, right? All the possibilities are there, all the potentials are there. So when you, from your mind, send that signal that I am doing this is my vision, you are sending a strong signal into the field, into the universe, and it matches something that's already existing there, a potential. And then by the harmonious vibrations of the law of attraction, like attracts like, you bring that into your physical reality. How do we do that? Well, we cannot just sit down every morning and think about our vision and putting that intention out. We also have to maintain that state of being throughout our day when we do the work. And sometimes when we do the work, we get stuck with an obstacle, but then we have to remember, who are we? And how are we meant to be thinking correctly? And how are we meant to be feeling? Who is the person that lives in the vision? That person does not feel scared. That person does not feel overwhelmed. That person does not feel like I'm not good enough. That person knows that they have already done it, right? So let me tell you one thing. That person at the end of your vision that lives in that vision, that person already exists in you. You just have forgotten because we've squeezed ourselves into this little box. So now it's digging ourselves out and moving forward on that journey. So gaining clarity on your vision is a really important starting point for everything. So a vision is the description of what your business, your life wants to be like in the future when you have fulfilled your purpose. And, you know, a vision is not just one area of your life. It touches everything holistically. So it's your health and well-being, your business, your career, experiences, finances, education, personal development, relationship and friendship. It's so holistic, right? So you actually get to create your vision for every single area of your life. You don't have to be just, oh, I want this in my business, or I want this in my relationship. No, it's all encompassing, right? You are creating this vision for your life. And I want you, and we're going to pause this for a moment. We're going to do an exercise. I want you to, for a moment, imagine a blank canvas, like the one that we're looking at right now. And that is a wide open road in front of you. And I want you to paint this canvas with the most beautiful colors that are at your disposal. You have all the colors. I want you to paint that vision on the screen of your mind right now. I know some of you're really clear, but it's a really good exercise for you also to do that, because maybe you discover a few extra things that you want to add in. And for those of you who have a hunch but might not really be too sure about what it is, I want you to just take a moment and answer this question. What do I really want to do with the rest of my life? And paint that picture. Now, I'm going to stop the sharing of the screen. I'm going to stop the recording to give you a moment to work through that. And the idea is that you don't just stop doing this exercise after we're done with this workshop. The idea really is that you have a moment of reflection every morning before you start your busy day, where you sit down, you close your eyes, you have a journal next to you, and you ask yourself this question, and then you write down whatever comes up without judgment. Because I've done this exercise with people before and they get confused. You know, they say, oh, no, this could never happen. So here's what I want you to envision, just to make it really easy. Envision you have just been gifted $10 million US, a blank check, right? So money is not an issue. Everybody's rooting for you doing this. So there's no issue with what are people going to say or think about this when I do this. You have full approval to go to town and to paint your picture on this empty canvas. So we're going to take a few moments to do that right now. Okay, so the next thing is we're going to talk about how to overcome the obstacles in our mind. What's the difference between a person who is successful and a person who isn't? Like, what makes the Richard Bransons and Oprahs of the world different from other people? Can anybody have a guess what that is?
Well, I think it's got to be that they make their vision concrete, you know, and they're creating every day based on that, right? The idea, and then it's created. Yeah.
That's definitely true. Very good, very good. But here's the one thing that they do differently. And let's see, it's not coming up here. They think differently. It's how they think about things. So they think not in limitations, but they think in possibilities. We, because we've been squeezing ourselves into the box, often think in limitations. So that's one of the things we have to change. We have to think according to truth, you know, and how we think is always open to interpretation, because how we perceive things, that's the lens through which we see the world. But it's a duality, right? Because just because I can look at it one way, another person can look at it a different way. Neither one means that either one of us is right or wrong, right? It's just, how can we reframe our thinking so it's conducive to where we say we want to go? That means if I continuously think about why I can't do something, I'm going to come up with more reasons as to why I can't do something. And if I were to ask myself a different question, it's like how I can do something, those ideas and thoughts will pop into my mind. So what it comes down to is making really conscious choices to go in the right direction, right? Because if I have a problem and I keep thinking about the problem, I'm not going to get any closer to the solution. I'm just going to really go down the rabbit hole. But if I start thinking about, there ought to be a solution to this problem, what could it be? Then it's more likely that the solution will come to me. So most people say seeing is believing. You know, that's a common saying. I believe it when I see it. And they are led by what their environment is reflecting back to them. And then if the environment says it's not happening, right, they believe that and they stop trying. But seeing is not believing. You have to believe that you can first and make decisions based on that belief. And the belief has to be, my vision came from source. Therefore, I have all the resources available to me, and I am just going to start looking for them. But I believe that I can. And this is how you become aware of these opportunities. He said, you know, Napoleon Hill, he said, whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve. So belief is something really important in the whole creative process. And I want to just take you through how our belief system works so that you have an understanding, because when we can see it, when we know what the concept is, then we can work with it better. So we have a conscious mind, which is our thinking mind. You know, it's our ego mind where we think, we reason, we're able to accept and reject an idea. It's where our short-term memory sits, and it has about 5% of the mind power that we have. So very, very little. On the other hand, our subconscious mind is our creative mind, our feeling mind, and that makes for 95% of our mind power. So what do you think is the more powerful part of the mind? Obviously, the subconscious mind. So the subconscious, just to give you an idea, is in charge of all your bodily functions, like your heart beating, your kidneys working, your respiration, right? You don't need to, am I breathing? It's automatically done for you. So if you just think about the processes that are running in your body every single day to make you function, that's subconscious, right? So it's extremely powerful. And here's the thing. This subconscious mind, this powerful part of the mind, it cannot think or reason. It has to accept everything that is turned over to it. And it cannot differentiate between what is real and what is imagined. Now, isn't that great? Because now with our imagination, with that image that we have created on the screen of our mind, we can turn that over to it, and it has to accept it. And immediately it will go to work and make us aware of these opportunities. And one thing that we're coming up against here is, what has our subconscious mind been programmed with? There are the belief systems that we have as humans come from the things that we learned at an early age, between the ages of 1 and 7, what we've heard over and over in our environment, what mom and dad kept repeating, that is something that we have adopted and that we have accepted subconsciously, because our conscious mind that gives us the ability to accept or reject something does not develop before the age of 7. So if you've heard over and over and over again that you're not good enough, or that's not how things are done, or you can't want certain things because that's a bad thing, that has been festering in your subconscious mind as a belief. So for instance, I can share, when I grew up, is what I heard, you have to be happy with what you have, you can't want more because that is selfish, right? So that's associated with guilt and the belief that I had, I can't want more because that is selfish and then other people are going to be upset with me. Not true. Another belief that I had was, it's not safe to be seen. And obviously, as a business owner, or if you have a big vision, you have to become visible and you have to step out. But here's the thing. The first and foremost program that your subconscious mind has is to keep you safe and alive, because it wants to procreate so that the species continues, right? But if you have a belief that it's not safe to be seen, then you are not going to go on, talk about your ideas. You're not going to do a webinar. You're not going to do a speaking event. You're not doing a Facebook Live. And if you are a business owner, nobody will ever know that you even exist, right? But why did I have that belief? Because I grew up in an unsafe environment. I grew up in an abusive household. So it was really safer for me to not be seen. So hiding became a coping mechanism. And when I became a business owner, I needed to change that belief. But all of us have these things, and most of them run unconsciously. So I'm sure you've heard people say, oh, the limiting beliefs, this, that, and the other, right? And there's a reason why they call them limiting, because most of the time we're not even aware that we have them, right? So they limit us in our expansion, in our moving forward in the direction of our vision, and we don't even know that we have them. But here's one way that we can figure out that we have them. It's if we have a big desire, which is also living in our, it's living in our heart, right? And we want to go for it and we want to pursue it. But what we come up against is resistance, right? Because there is, oh my God, I can't do this. What are people going to say or think about me? That is a strong indication that there is a belief in there somewhere. Because let me just show you what happens. On the subconscious mind, also your desire lives in your subconscious mind. And the minute that you build that image on the screen of your mind, that vision that you have that you want, it shows up on your conscious mind, and your subconscious mind immediately cross-checks its files, because it's a giant computer basically, and it says, do I have any experience with this image? And it looks for reference points. And if it doesn't have a reference point, and if you have a really big, it doesn't, because you haven't lived it, right? You haven't had that experience before. What it does, it will put up a wall of resistance, because it says, I'm not sure if this is safe for my human. So I'm just going to flag it as code red, and then I'm going to put up some resistance until my human says, oh, this is too difficult, I'll give up, right? And so how does this resistance manifest? Oh, I'm not motivated, I can't focus, there's a quarrel with my boyfriend, something terrible happened in my life, I have too many things on my plate. This is how powerful the subconscious mind is. It knows exactly what triggers you to stop, right? And then it's not that we say, I'm walking away from my dream, you know, it's at some point, if enough things come up, we agree and say, you know what, this is probably not the right time right now. I'm doing this later, right? And then later never comes. But it knows how to get you to that point. And so the idea is to really examine these beliefs that we have that build up the resistance and break that resistance down. And we do this by transforming them. So for instance, my belief was, it's not safe to be seen. And I wanted to start becoming a speaker. And so the belief that I transformed was, it's not safe to be seen. I transformed it into, I'm an excellent public speaker, because I needed to believe something different about myself. And what I did was I gave a talk. I had 26 people show up. If you had seen me prior to my belief transformation, I could not look at people. I would be sweating. I would not be able to articulate, because it felt like I had a frog in here. I was nervous, anxious. And after that process that I went through, I had 26 people. Nobody knew it was my first ever talk. And after the talk, which was on mindset, by the way, this woman comes up to me and says, did I hear you worked in marketing? I need a consultant. Can we talk? And she became a client for a year. So I not only changed my belief, but in my result, then I had an entirely different result. And that is what happens. When you change the beliefs, you get different results, because you can take the action. And when you take action, you get different results. So this is all about understanding how you operate. And if you look at your current results, for instance, if you've been procrastinating on your vision, somewhere in there is a belief that is causing that. And that's what you have to examine. What would you need to believe instead? Perhaps it's something like, I am so motivated, I'm so charged, I'm so excited about doing this. And that's what I believe instead, right? That's what we call a transformation. And there's a process based in neuroscience that I use to do this with my clients. It's not just about repeating affirmations, it's actually reprogramming your subconscious mind. And then when you put your belief and action together, you get a new result. So keep doing that. Repetition trains and reprograms the mind. And if you're stuck right now, I would invite you after this workshop to just examine, what are my results, and then write it down on a piece of paper. What are the results that I'm having? Being really honest with yourself, because there's no judgment, it just is. And then when you have everything written down, you'll see a picture emerging. So what do I believe about myself? Do I believe that I'm not good enough? Do I believe that I'm going to be judged? Do I believe that it's not perfect enough, which is what a lot of people are, you know, unconsciously believing that's holding them back. And then you can't change that. So I want you to write this down for the exercise. And you're going to be doing this exercise at home after this workshop. How are things now? And you're going to list everything, you know, your results, really honestly, but please, 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 without judgment. How are things now? We're just taking inventory. You know, we're like doing this like a private investigator. We're taking inventory, we're analyzing. And you write down everything, honestly, without judging yourself, without speaking to yourself negatively. You're just taking inventory. And then a picture will start emerging. And that picture will tell you what it is that you believe about yourself. And once you know that, you can change it, right? Because awareness is always the first thing for change to happen. And then once you have that old picture, you can ask yourself a really empowering question. And that question is, how would I like things to be instead? And there you write down everything that you would like instead, positively. Be really, really careful that it's only positive things that you state. And it should be the complete opposite of how things are right now. And then another picture emerges, right? And from that picture, you will create your new beliefs. So for instance, if my belief was it's not safe to be seen, I'm an excellent public speaker is the complete opposite, because I have to step out. If you believe everything has to be perfect before I can show it to somebody, you're going to believe done is better than perfect, because done puts you out there, right? If you believe that I am not good enough, I am more than good enough. If you believe there's nobody going to be out there who's going to pay me the fees for my services, you're going to start believing that there are people out there that are happy to pay you abundantly for your services because you are helping them find a solution to their problem. Whatever it is, that's your new belief. Really, really, really important. It takes a little bit of work. If you want my help, we can set up a session, but you can do this on your own. You can do this on your own, pinpoint the beliefs, and then you have to go about transforming them. But I want to get really into mapping out your road to success. This is going to be the bulk of this workshop. This was just the foundational pieces that we talked about up until now. So he says, whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve. We achieve through taking actions. So actions have everything to do with goals. And goals are supposed to be smart. And I'm sure you've heard about that. So they have to be specific and simple. They have to be measurable and meaningful to you. Achievable, really important, relevant and realistic and responsible, and there has to be a deadline on it. It cannot be open-ended. So I want you to, as you think about your vision, I want you to come up with a date by when you are going to be living in that vision. And then we're going to reverse engineer from that date. So put that date down, make it specific, claim it, put your stake into the ground. You're telling the universe, by this date, this is what I am, this is what I have, this is what I do. And what we're going to do is we're going to work yourself back from the vision. So you can imagine yourself being there. Right now you're there. And then you will back trace the steps. So let me just share with you one example so you can see how to do this. When I decided that I was going to leave my job in Hollywood, in Los Angeles, and moved to Mexico, I had to reverse engineer that vision. The vision was living in Mexico. So how I reverse engineered it was the last thing was obviously getting on that plane with 2 suitcases and 2 laptops and getting, flying to Mexico. But before was I had to let go of all my possessions, sell all my possessions. Before that was I had to resign from my job, which was really difficult. Before that was I had to find a place to live and rent an apartment, right? So that's the reverse engineering. The last step was getting on the plane. But before getting on the plane, a bunch of things had to happen, like letting go of my life, letting go of my job, setting up my basic environment in Mexico. That was the first thing. So I decided in June that I was moving. I sat on it for 2 months because it was scary, right? Like letting go of a 6-figure job, prestigious 6-figure job. I came down here in September for 2 weeks vacation. I looked for 2 weeks for an apartment, found the apartment on the last day, I kid you not, signed the lease, and went back home, sat on my butt for another month because I was so scared to sign in, to give my resignation. And then I knew I already had the flight ticket, right? So I had to go to my boss in October and tell him that I was resigning. It was one of the most difficult things to do, but it was the next step, right? And then I had to let go of all my possessions. That took a month. And by November 16th, I was here. So it was June, I made the decision. September, I found the place. October, I resigned. All of October, I sold my entire life of 22 years in Los Angeles. And November 15th, I got on a plane. So you have to map out these big goals for yourselves. And then once you have those big, what I call milestone goals, we're going to break them down into achievable goals, right? So that they don't become overwhelming, because each one of those has things attached to it. So I want you to do that. If you can come up with 4, maximum 5 big milestone goals, reverse engineering your vision, do that now. I'm going to stop the recording and then we're going to resume. So once you have mapped out your big goals, then we're going to break those down into smaller micro goals. And hold on one second. This is the thing with doing things live. It's always fun when we, I have to scroll down, because sometimes the technology doesn't work as well. Okay, talked about this. So I want you to look at this. Now that you have all your big goals mapped out, how can you break them down into smaller micro goals? Because all the big goals have micro goals attached to them. And I want you to think about how can you break, for the purpose of saving time in this workshop, we're going to do it with one goal. Break it down into 3 or 4 micro goals so that you chunk it down and it's no longer this overwhelming big goal that you need to hit. But break it down into maybe 4, 5, if you want 6 smaller goals that are achievable for you. You know, for instance, one of the things when I sold my life, I needed to go through all my stuff that I had accumulated over 22 years and really be critical about what could be disposed of, then what needed to be sold, like what could I give away to friends, and how can I do this quickly within a month, right? So break it down each, I mean, that's the exercise to do, that each goal is broken down into 3, 4, or 5 micro goals. And those goals are the achievable goals, where you know that you can hit them. Because when you do hit that micro goal, it'll give you the sensation of a win. Like, oh, check, I've done it. It feels really good, right? Now I'm motivated to the next achievable goal, the next micro goal. And by tackling enough micro goals, achievable goals, you hit a big goal. And when you hit a big goal, you've really made a dent into it, and you know it, right? When you hit the first big goal, you've really made a dent because you moved yourself way out from your comfort zone into new uncharted territory, and you've hit it. And that is a big win. So I want you to think about, because the idea is to take overwhelm and confusion out of the equation. And if you need to break it down into 6 achievable goals, break it down into 6 achievable goals. And commit every single day that you are working towards that. Because we're going to breaking this down even further to make it easier on you. Because one of the things that people often struggle with is, what do I need to do every single day? I have no idea. I'm confused, right? So I have this big vision and it's overwhelming. When you break it down into smaller and smaller and smaller chunks, like even into the most ridiculous, right? Then you know, oh, today I just need to make this one phone call that moves me further, right? And that's achievable. I can do that. And it moved the needle in the right direction. So I want you to set yourself up for success with this process. Because the idea is we have to be really clear on where are we now in relation to where we are going. And when we break it up into small things, the overwhelm gets taken out of the equation. So that is the exercise. And then what I want you to write down is your big milestone goals, your rocks, you know, like the ones that are really going to move the needle. I want you to have a visual representation of that you can look at. And then like if you look at this pyramid thing, you break it down into micro goal number 1, 2, 3, 4, however many. Those are the little achievable goals, where it doesn't become so overwhelming. And then each micro goal requires action steps, right? So to hit that, some maybe have just 1 or 2, others might have more, but you break it down even further. What are the actions that I need to take to hit my micro goal, my first achievable goal? And that will inform you every single day what to do, why, and when. Would you agree with me? And then you can put these action steps on your calendar. And every day you execute on that. You know, Martin Luther King said, you don't have to see the whole staircase. You just have to take the first step, right? And every action you can break down into steps. So you can break this down into the most ridiculous, smallest chunk where you don't feel overwhelmed. And where you have a quick win, because I've done my step 1, I'm working myself up to action number 1. That's awesome. I've hit that. I've achieved that. That's fantastic. Now I'm going to take action number 2, 3, and 4 to get me to my first achievable goal. Awesome. I've hit my achievable goal. I have another win that makes me feel good. And then you get to the bigger goal. And in that process, we grow. right? Because we're here at A, that's where we start, we want to get to B. We become aware of an opportunity that leads us in this right direction. We decide we're grabbing the opportunity, we're changing because the opportunity requires us to become more of who we are. We're stepping outside of our comfort zone, we're doing things that we've never done before. We grow to the next level. You keep growing, 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 and all of a sudden you are in your vision, right? But it's a process. It's a staircase. And here's the thing, your vision dictates everything. Your beliefs cement that vision. Your beliefs need to align with what that vision is. If they don't, they need to be transformed so that you can take the action every single day and that you can get the result. Everything is already here. I want you to know this. The fact that you have the vision means the resources are here. So I want to share with you this exercise that I give my private clients, and this is how one of them found the 500,000 to finish a construction project without having to take a loan. It's really tapping into your resources. And what I want you to do is, whatever your vision is, I want you to have that picture on the screen of your mind, maybe even write it down on a large sheet of paper, and then ask yourself this question, how can I get there? And I want you to write down 20 people, ideas, and resources that come to mind, just by asking yourself, how can I get there? And you will be so surprised what comes to mind. I was just working with somebody who has a huge vision. It's going to touch the lives of many people, many communities, big cities in the United States. And it was fascinating to see, after doing this exercise, that she has resources that she didn't even think she had. She's already connected to people who can open doors, big known people. So I want you to really take your time in doing this. And this is probably something that you should do immediately after this workshop, while you're still in the spirit of it. You ask yourself this question, whatever the vision is that you have, how can I get there? And you write down anything that comes to mind. And you don't dismiss anything, because your subconscious mind will say, oh no, that's never going to happen. That person is never even going to answer my phone call. You write that person's name down. And if your mind gets in the way, you say next. And you do not get up from that table until you have 20 things written down. And let me tell you something, that client that found the 500,000, she did not want to do this exercise. She sat at my kitchen table for 2 hours. I did not let her get up. And she found the money. She didn't have to do, she didn't have to take out a loan. She actually found the money in assets that she had forgotten she had. And once you have that list of 20, the idea is that you plan a follow-up action that you are committed to taking for every single one of these ideas that came to mind. So if you have names of people on there, you're going to call them up. You're going to have a conversation with them. If an idea came up, you're going to follow that idea. If a resource came to mind, you're going to tap into that resource. And I guarantee you that on that list is something that will open a door. I have seen this work with clients. I've seen this work on myself. I've seen this in seminars. where people that did not have the money, wanting to buy a program or wanting to work with a mentor, stood up at the microphone and said, and this of course takes guts and it takes overcoming yourself, but I will never forget this. I was at a conference in Atlanta and there was this woman lawyer who wanted to have private mentorship with the person who was the speaker. And it was expensive. And she did this exercise that she was given. And so number 19 was she needed to get up to the mic and ask if anybody, out of the kindness of their heart, would give her the money. There were 250 people in the room. 3 people raised their hand and paid the money so that she could have that private mentorship. Do you know what it took for that woman to bring herself to walk up to the mic and say, it came to me, I'm doing it, I'm really vulnerable, and she got rewarded. So I want you to keep that in mind as you do this exercise. You have no ideas. You have no idea what doors are going to open when you knock, but you are the one that's doing the knocking. So do not dismiss what comes to mind. Write it down, make a decision that you will follow up on it, that you are committed to taking that action. So I just want you to see how this works. Those are some of my clients that are regular people like you and I. They all have a big vision. They all didn't believe that they could make it happen. And they did, because they decided, they did the work. And you can do that too. But you have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in yourself enough, and you have to love yourself enough to know how important this is for you and how important this is for the people who you are going to help through stepping in. Because I can guarantee you one thing, that divine gift that you got from God is not just for you, it's so that you can make an impact. Michaela, she's an actress. We need more inspiring storytellers. She didn't act for 12 years. What got in the way was her son, her parents getting ill, and she went back into acting. She is going to light up screens again. Kelly is 64 years old. She is an avian expert. She is a conservationist. Her life's mission is to conserve a species of birds. She never thought that she would be accepted in the academic community that she wanted to break into. There was an opportunity for her to attend the conference, a panel discussion. She did not want to go. She said, they're going to ridicule me. I don't have a degree in this. I'm too old. I can't do it. She's my client. I said, Kelly, you're going to this conference. She spoke at the conference. She said, I'm terrified. She called me afterwards. She said, you're never going to believe what happened. They offered me to become a contributor to a book. That book opened doors. That book got her invitations to lecture at a university. That book got her an invitation to work with one of the foremost researchers in her field. Got an invitation to go to Costa Rica to a sanctuary. Things that she never thought she would do. And she's doing it, and she's 64. So don't let that, I'm too old, I should have done this before, get in the way. It's clearly possible at any age when you are determined. Tindy was a saleswoman at a pest control company, and she has a passion for creating aromatherapy-based products, you know, candles, and during the pandemic, hand sanitizers. And at a time when hand sanitizer could not be found on the shelves, she created it and she sold it at a regular price. She shipped it for free throughout the US, and she started her business, her passion-based business. So anything is possible when you believe it and you take the action. There's others that have done this. The idea is really that you know what your vision is, that you believe in yourself, and that you do the work. And that's when things happen. So I have an opportunity for you. If you want to explore this further and are unclear about next steps, I'm offering you a 30-minute private consultation to go over your personal roadmap, where you have my full attention on your life, the business that you're looking to create, where we validate and optimize your strategy. If that is something that you would like, you can send me an email to simona@simonaxol.com with the subject line roadmap. Include your phone number, and we will send you a link to my calendar where you can book your complimentary consultation right away. And we'll take it from there. So I will now stop the recording, and I'm going to open it up for Q&A. I want to thank all of you that will be watching this on the recording. If you have questions, reach out to simona@simonaxol.com. If you want to take me up on a consultation, please do. I hope you got a lot out of this. I hope things are clearer. And when you do the work, I can guarantee you, just like these women that I just talked about, you are going to be able to make your vision a reality. It requires work, inner work and outer work, the actions, and you can absolutely do this. So thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for watching. And I will see you very, very soon again. And I want to wish you all the best for this journey. Yes.